Hi folks, this is my first ever YouTube video and I'm conducting a flight from Harts Bluff Airfield, Yankee Hotel Tango Sierra to Alice Springs, and I'm using FSX, and this is the top-down view of Yankee Hotel Tango Sierra. It's a little bush strip way out there in the bush. I'm using FSX, as I say, and this is an OzX airfield. So it's one of the add-ons on top of Orbex's Australia version 2. So yeah, it looks great actually. I think it works well. And I'm now sort of in my flight sim world, working as a person who takes vital supplies and the mail out to these areas, as a certain charter airline does in Alice Springs. And this is my chosen mount, which is great. It's just the Milviz Turbo Otter, de Havilland Canada's dhc3. It's beautiful. It started out with a big old piston engine, and now it's got a turbine on the front of it, which has made it much more usable. Milviz has done a great job with this plane, because, and I've had some mixed history with Milviz. Some of their things have been a bit hit and miss with my rig, I hasten to add, but this is beautiful and it works really well. Very cool. There we go, let's open the doors. I tried to repaint this, but that's another whole story. Here we go. We'll just open up the doors, give you a bit of view. It's rugged, it's solid, fixed gear. It's not fast, but it can carry a ton and more. It's a brute of an airplane. Here we go. Let's jump inside. And we'll get into the business of checking the controls. Yep, that works fine. That works okay. Rudder pedals, yeah, they're still there. Okay, so next thing is beacon lights on. Check everything else is where it should be. Those are the instrument electronics, and this is the main electronics bank. There's a big kill switch there. And here we go. So we turn everything on. Ignition on. Fuel pump on and positive fuel pressure. Okay, that's all there. Check the voltage. Yep, looking good. Hit the starter switch. Introduce fuel. Watch the ITT. That's coming up. Bit of oil pressure coming up. That's all good. And there we go. Everything kicks in. The prop kicks in, and the generators, they all kick in. The P3 heater, I asked Milviz about it. They said it doesn't really work, but it turns the light off. Let's check the navs. It's a handy feature. You can turn that screen off and just turn it to radios. Heading, where we're going to depart on. And feathering check. The run-ups are really simple on this plane, as with most PD6s. Feathering check. Seems to work all right. And we'll do a prop governor test. Yep, all good there. So set the trim, and the rudder trim round about there works well for me. What altitude we're going to get to, set the transponder, and set the tail wheel to steering. So that switch has got 3 settings, which is castering, tail wheel locked, and steering, which is what you need for taxiing, obviously. And here we go. We're going to depart on the northern heading. Look at those shadows. I've just recently installed Steve's DX10 fixer, and it's great. It's really changed the experience, both in the plane and with the cloud shadows. It's beautiful. Highly recommended. Checking all the indicators. They're all those press button indicators. No little square bank of, things to check here. Okay, turn on to, look at those shadows again. Turn on to heading, and we'll set the tail wheel to locked. Oh, put the flaps down, and there they are. They're amazing. It makes us a proper stall plane. And away we go. I had to capture this in replay because I forgot to turn the record button on. But here we go. Run about 60, 70, and off we go. And it goes up like an elevator, really. Here's a replay. Bit of a sharp pull up there, but I'm still setting my FSU IPC settings with my yoke. There we go. Those lovely FSX trees. Okay, here we go. Flaps are going to come down, come up shortly. Props coming back. Now Milviz has this funny thing with the props. You pull them back and then they surge forward. So you actually have to pull them back, the props, further back than you think, because they then surge forward another roughly 1,000 RPM. It's the same with the Twin Comanche, so it must be a new thing. Steve's DX10 fixer at play there, beautiful. Flaps are all coming up. Turning onto heading. And we can turn the secondary fuel pump off, have a look out the window. Settling into a nice climb. We've set the autopilot now to follow the heading bug, and whatever climb rate we set there's the passenger's view. We're going to climb to 8,500 feet. Quite high for a short trip, but Turbines like to be up high. Now we're settling down to 8,500, we can pull the prop back. And in this plane I found about 30 is about right with the torque pressure to balance out the fuel flow, the speed and all that sort of thing. We'll do a fuel transfer now. This is a particular thing for this plane. The center tank feeds the engine, but the front and rear tanks feed the center tank, and so you have to switch and then turn the fuel pump on. And that gauge in the bottom left is actually the center tank. So now we're transferring fuel from the front tank to the center tank. Rear tank's empty already from the previous leg. And here she goes. It's quite nose down, but we took off with not much weight. We're pretty empty on this leg, and we're short on. Yeah, we're not low on fuel, but haven't got a full fuel load. It's a rugged beast. Okay, so now I've chosen to do an ILS approach to Alice Springs, and I've set the radios all up for that simply because I can. I'm empty. I'm on my own. We can practice a ILS approach even in this huge lumbering beast. Look at those clouds. Okay, I'm going to switch to a heading because we're getting close to the end of the ILS beam. Switch to using the heading bug on the autopilot so that I can now switch to capturing the ILS bearing, the beam. You have to use a 2D screen for that with this plane, which is fine. Descending now. We've started to capture the ILS indicator, which is showing we should be moving to the right and just about level now, but we should start going down. The vertical indicator there is showing that we should be going further down in order to capture properly. Engine gauges are looking good, things are throttled back, everything's in the green, fine. Fuel's fine, so that means that we can, the front tank's pretty empty, fuel pressure's low. We're actually filling up the fuel tank much quicker because we've throttled back. So how good is that dashboard, that panel? Beautiful. Okay, so we're starting to intercept the the vertical locator on the ILS, and it's telling us we're a little low. You can see it's showing us, we should be going up. So I'm going to turn a little bit left to intercept it, which means we'll be turning into it and intercepting it sooner, so we'll be matching it up there. And we're going to turn off the fuel transfer because that's not recommended for landing procedures. Love those shadows. And here we go. We're intercepting the horizontal ILS indicator. So we're turning to intercept it. We're going to overshoot it, but that's okay. We'll overcorrect and regain. The hills in Alice Springs. Orbex's scenery is great, love it, it's really good. But at the moment, a lot of the objects are twinkling in the distance. You can see the airport in the distance there twinkling away, and it's something I need to talk to them about. Okay, so now we've switched the autopilot to follow that the ILS instrument. All the way down here, it didn't quite follow the downward indication as well as I'd like. Tail wheel lock on, that's what we've got to do for landing. And here we go, we'll speed this up a bit for you. Throttling back. There's a bit of chop around this. I think Orbex may have thrown this in. There's always a bit of chop around about here. Maybe the hills, maybe the heat. I think they may have thrown it into the sim. I'm not sure how. But there's always a bit of chop around here. And there's usually a balloon followed by a massive down thrust. Towards the threshold, which you'll see. We're a bit high, throttling back. Props to the fore. Flaps are now all in, and there was a huge balloon right, close up. Great looking airfield. And then there was a bit of a dump. We had to, readjust. Makes for a bit of a tricky old landing. It's not the prettiest of landings, but it worked out okay. We had to nosing over, and then we had to recorrect. What a good job on this airfield though. There we go. If you put this airplane down too fast, it'll bounce. Doesn't matter what you try and do. You can't wheel it on, it just bounces. So you've got to get the speed way down and put it down as a tricycle. there have been many worse. We turn the tail wheel steering on. It's an electric clutch that either locks it or makes it steerable. And here's the gorgeous Alice Springs Airport. One thing I'll say about this plane is that whatever power setting you set it to, it taxis really well and it just sticks to it, which some planes don't. You have to power them up and then they overspeed and then you've got to cut back the power. This one, you set it and off you go. And here we go. This is our final destination. And shut down. Let the turbine settle. Feather the prop. That's a nice part of the sim. If you've flown a lot in caravans, you'll know that the prop takes that amount of time to wind down, and they've simulated this beautifully. So here we are at Charter, which is a well-known, company in the north end of Australia that does a lot of bush flights. Thanks, guys. Hope you liked it.